A Billionaire's Empire, a Waitress's Deadly Secret, one handwritten note that changes everything. When tech mogul Liam Ashford received a cryptic warning from a trembling waitress during the most important dinner of his career, he had no idea he was staring at the beginning of a conspiracy that would nearly destroy them both. She wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to care. But some secrets are too dangerous to ignore, and some connections too powerful to walk away from. Stay until the end to see how a single act of courage sparked a war neither of them saw coming. Drop a like and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The chandeliers in Aurelius cast light like liquid gold across tables where fortunes changed hands between courses. Liam Ashford sat at table 12, spine straight, expression unreadable, watching three German investors dissect his company's valuation with surgical precision. His charcoal suit fit like armor. His 10-year-old daughter Maya was safely home with her nanny, probably ignoring her homework to read fantasy novels under the covers. Everything was exactly as it should be. Herr Ashford, you understand our concerns regarding the Asian markets, Klaus Bergman said, setting down his wine glass with deliberate care. The man's accent was thick, his eyes sharp. Volatility makes us cautious. Liam smiled, the smile that had closed 100 deals, the one that never reached his eyes. Volatility creates opportunity, Klaus. That's why you're here, and not in Frankfurt playing it safe. Bergman's laugh was dry. Bold, perhaps too bold. Perhaps that's why my company is worth $8 billion and climbing. The tension at the table shifted. Liam could feel it, the way a sailor feels the wind change. This was the moment, the pivot point where confidence either sealed the deal or blew it apart. He leaned forward slightly, voice dropping to something almost conversational. Gentlemen, I'm not asking you to gamble. I'm offering you a calculated risk with a 23% projected return over 18 months. My team has run every scenario. The numbers don't lie. Numbers can be interpreted, said the second investor, a silver-haired woman named Petra Schultz. They can also be verified, Liam countered smoothly, which is why I've prepared a complete audit trail for your analysts. Transparent, thorough, bulletproof. He watched Petra's expression soften by a fraction. Good. He was winning. That's when he noticed the waitress. She was hovering near the edge of his peripheral vision, holding a water pitcher with both hands like it might escape. Young, maybe 30. Dark hair pulled back severely, uniform crisp but cheap. She looked terrified, which wasn't unusual. People often looked nervous around Liam. Money had gravity. It pulled people in and made them smaller. But this was different. She wasn't looking at him with awe or calculation. She was looking at him like she was trying to solve an equation she didn't have all the variables for. Her hands trembled slightly. The water in the pitcher caught the light, sloshing almost imperceptibly. Liam's instincts, honed by years of reading rooms and predicting moves, pinged. Something was off. The waitress stepped closer. Her name tag read Elena. She moved with the careful invisibility of someone who'd learned to take up as little space as possible. When she reached the table, she didn't speak. Instead, she set down the pitcher, refilled Klaus's water glass with mechanical precision, and then, so quickly Liam almost missed it, slid a folded napkin beneath the edge of his bread plate. Her eyes met his for exactly 1 second. Dark brown, frightened, urgent. Then she was gone, disappearing into the kitchen like smoke. Liam didn't react. Years of negotiating with people who'd sell their grandmothers for a percentage point had taught him control. He reached for his water, took a sip, let Klaus continue talking about market penetration in Singapore, but his mind was elsewhere. The napkin sat there, folded into a precise triangle, innocuous as a mint. "Excuse me," Liam said, interrupting Klaus mid-sentence. "I need a moment." He stood, pocketing the napkin in one smooth motion, and walked toward the restrooms. Once inside the marble and gold sanctuary of the men's room, he locked himself in a stall and unfolded the napkin. The handwriting was small, neat, pressured, written by someone whose hand was shaking. Table 9. 2 men. One has been filming you for 12 minutes. Check your left, diagonal. Navy jacket. They're not investors. Liam's jaw tightened. He stepped out, washed his hands slowly, and returned to the dining room. This time, he let his gaze drift naturally across the space, cataloging faces, postures, details. Table 9. Two men in business casual, one in a navy jacket, younger than the typical Aurelius clientele. The one in navy had his phone angled slightly toward Liam's table, propped against a wine glass. Filming. Corporate espionage. Or worse, blackmail. Recording a private business dinner without consent could tank the deal, create leverage, leak sensitive financials. Whoever they weren't amateurs. The angle was perfect. The setup was subtle. If the waitress hadn't warned him, he'd have walked straight into a trap. Liam returned to table 12, smiled at Klaus, and pulled out his phone. Apologies. Security issue. He texted his head of security, Marcus Chen. Table 9. Two men, one filming. Handle it quietly. Within 90 seconds, a manager appeared at table 9 with apologetic body language and a hushed conversation. The men's faces went tight. The phone disappeared. 5 minutes later, they were gone, escorted out by building security. Liam closed the deal with the Germans an hour later. $20 million in new funding, locked and signed. But his mind wasn't on the money. After the investors left, Liam sat alone at table 12, nursing a scotch he didn't want. The restaurant was winding down. Servers moved through the space like ghosts, clearing tables, dimming lights. He should leave. Go home. Check on Maya. Read her a chapter of whatever dragon-slaying nonsense she was currently obsessed with. Instead, he waited. The waitress, Elena, emerged from the kitchen carrying a bin of dirty dishes. She moved efficiently, head down, avoiding eye contact with everyone. When she reached his section, she froze. "Sit down," Liam said. It wasn't a request. Elena's eyes went wide. I can't. I'm working. You just saved me from a corporate disaster. Sit down." She glanced toward the kitchen, then at the floor, then, reluctantly, slid into the chair across from him. Up close, she looked exhausted, shadows under her eyes, tension in her shoulders. But there was something else, something that didn't fit. The way she held herself. The intelligence in her gaze. This wasn't someone who belonged in a waitress uniform. "How did you notice?" Liam asked. I pay attention." "Most people don't pay that kind of attention." Elena's fingers twisted together in her lap. "Most people don't have to." Liam studied her. "Who are you?" "No one?" "Liar." The word landed between them like a stone in still water. Elena flinched, but she didn't argue. "I should go," she whispered. "Why did you help me?" "Because—" She stopped, swallowed. Because people like that, they destroy things. And you looked like you didn't know." "People like what?" "People who record conversations they're not part of. People who use information as a weapon." Her voice was soft, but there was something raw underneath it, something personal. Liam leaned back, watching her carefully. "You've dealt with them before." Elena stood abruptly, the chair scraping against marble. "I have to get back to work." "Wait." But she was already gone, vanishing into the kitchen before he could stop her. Liam sat there for a long moment, turning his empty scotch glass in circles on the table. Then he pulled out his phone and texted Marcus again. "Need a background check. Waitress named Elena Hart, works at Aurelius. Discreet." He told himself it was due diligence. A smart precaution. You didn't survive in his world without verifying your allies. But that was a lie, and Liam knew it. He was curious, and Liam Ashford hadn't been curious about another person in years. Marcus's report arrived the next morning while Liam was making Maya breakfast. Scrambled eggs, slightly burnt, toast, heavily buttered, orange juice in her favorite purple cup. Parenting by a billionaire who still couldn't quite master a stovetop. "Dad, this tastes like rubber," Maya announced, poking at her eggs with a fork. "Eat it anyway. Protein." "Mrs. Keller makes them fluffy." "Mrs. Keller has a culinary degree, I have an engineering degree and a short temper. Eat." Maya grinned, her gap-toothed smile a perfect copy of her mother's. Liam's chest tightened the way it always did when he saw Sarah's ghost in their daughter's face. 3 years gone, cancer brutal and fast, leaving him with a company to run and a 7-year-old who asked when mommy was coming home. He pushed the thought away and checked his phone. Marcus's message was characteristically brief. Attached. Call me. Liam opened the file. Name: Elena Marie Hart. Age: 30. Employment: server, Aurelius Restaurant, 8 months. Prior employment: none on record. U.S. Education: listed as high school, public records. Criminal record: none. Credit: poor. $47,000 in debt, mostly medical family, no listed relatives. U.S. Immigration status: valid work visa, European origin. Red flags: SSN issued only 3 years ago. No financial history prior to 2023. No digital footprint before arrival in New York. Liam read it twice. A woman with no past, no family, no history. Working a minimum wage job despite the kind of intelligence he'd seen in her eyes. People didn't just appear out of nowhere, not without a reason. He called Marcus. Talk to me, Liam said. She's a ghost, Marcus replied. His voice had the clipped efficiency of someone who'd spent 20 years in private security and trusted no one. Everything about her is surface level, real SSN, real work visa, but the backstory is fabricated. I can dig deeper, but it'll take time and it'll cost. Do it. Boss, you sure this could be? I'm sure, Marcus sighed. Your funeral. I'll have more in a few days. Liam hung up and looked at Maya, who was building a tower out of toast crusts instead of eating. Do you believe in second chances? He asked. Maya looked at him like he'd grown a second head. What? Nothing. Finish your breakfast. But the question lingered. Liam went back to Aurelius that night. He told himself it was because the food was good, because he needed to decompress after a brutal board meeting where 3 investors tried to oust him over the Singapore expansion, because Maya was at a sleepover and the penthouse felt too empty. All lies. He wanted to see her again. Elena was working the main floor, moving between tables with the same quiet efficiency. When she saw him, something flickered across her face. Surprise, fear, something else he couldn't name, but she didn't approach. Another server took his order. Liam sat alone, eating a meal he didn't taste, watching her in his peripheral vision. She was good at her job, attentive without being intrusive, quick to refill glasses, clear plates, smile politely. But there was a guardedness to her, a way of angling her body slightly away from everyone, like she was ready to bolt. Halfway through his entree, she finally came to his table. Can I get you anything else, Mr. Ashford? So she knew his name. Interesting. Sit down. I told you I can't beat 5 minutes, please. The please surprised them both. Liam didn't beg. He commanded, negotiated, occasionally threatened, but he didn't beg. Elena hesitated, then slid into the chair across from him, perched on the edge like a bird ready to fly. Why are you here? She asked quietly. I wanted to thank you properly. You don't need to. I disagree. Liam set down his fork. You saved me from a serious problem. Those men were planning to leak footage of that dinner. It could have killed the deal, damaged my reputation. You didn't have to get involved. Elena looked at her hands. I saw something wrong. I told you, that's all. That's not all. Liam's voice dropped. You're not just a waitress, are you? Her head snapped up. Fear, sharp and immediate, flooded her eyes. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. Mr. Ashford, Liam. I think you should leave me alone. Why? Because I'm no one. I'm not worth your time. I'll decide what my time is worth. Elena stood, her chair scraping back. Please, just forget about me. She walked away before he could respond, disappearing into the kitchen. This time, Liam didn't follow, but he didn't forget. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus fed him pieces of the puzzle. Elena's work visa was legitimate, but the sponsoring organization, a small nonprofit in Queens, had dissolved 6 months after issuing it. Convenient. Her listed address was a studio apartment in Brooklyn, rent paid in cash. No lease, no paper trail. She had a bank account with barely $300 in it. She took the subway to work every day, same route, same times. Lived alone. Spoke to no one. She's running from something, Marcus said during their debrief. Or someone. The question is what? Keep digging. Boss, this is starting to feel invasive. Liam's jaw tightened. I didn't ask for your opinion. Marcus was silent for a beat. You like her? Don't be ridiculous. You haven't been this interested in another human being since Sarah died. I'm just calling it what it is. We're done here. Liam hung up, annoyed because Marcus was right. He did like her, or at least he was fascinated by her, by the contradiction she represented, the fear and the courage, the intelligence hiding behind a minimum wage uniform, the way she looked at him like he was dangerous. Most people looked at Liam and saw money, power, opportunity. Elena looked at him and saw a threat. He wanted to know why. The break came on a Thursday night. Liam was leaving Aurelius, his fourth visit in 2 weeks, which was absurd, and he knew it. When he saw Elena in the alley behind the restaurant, she was leaning against the brick wall, head in her hands, shoulders shaking, crying. He should have walked away, should have given her privacy, should have gotten in his car and gone home to Maya. Instead, he walked over. Elena. She jerked upright, swiping at her face. I'm fine, just go away. You're not fine. You don't know me. I'm trying to. She laughed, bitter and broken. Why? Why do you care? Because you helped me when you didn't have to. Because you're clearly in trouble. Because... He stopped, frustrated. I don't know. I just do. Elena stared at him, tears still tracking down her cheeks. You should stay away from me. Why? Because I'm dangerous. I doubt that. You don't understand. Her voice cracked. I'm not who I'm pretending to be. I'm not Elena Hart. That's not even my real name. Liam went still. What's your real name? She shook her head, fresh tears spilling over. It doesn't matter. I can't go back. I can't be her anymore. Who are you running from? Elena looked at him for a long moment, and Liam saw the exact second she made her decision, saw the wall crack, saw the desperation bleed through. My fiancé, she whispered. Or, he was my fiancé, before he destroyed my life. They went to a 24-hour diner 6 blocks away, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like burnt regret. Elena sat across from him, hands wrapped around a mug she didn't drink from, and told him the truth. Her real name was Elena Volkov. Her family owned one of the largest private investment firms in Europe, based in Switzerland. Billions in assets, political connections, old money, older secrets. She'd been raised in that world. Private schools, charity galas, expectations like iron chains. I was engaged to Dmitry Koval, she said, voice flat. He worked for my father, brilliant, charming, ambitious. Everyone thought we were perfect together. What happened? He framed me. Elena's fingers tightened around the mug. There was a financial scandal, millions missing from client accounts, falsified records, money laundering, and somehow all the evidence pointed to me. Liam's blood went cold. You didn't do it. Of course I didn't do it, her voice cracked. But Dmitry made sure it looked like I did. Bank transfers in my name, emails with my signature, documents I'd never seen. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. The authorities were investigating. My father... She stopped, swallowing hard. My father believed him, believed Dmitry over me. Jesus. I ran. I had to. If I'd stayed, I'd have been arrested, imprisoned. Everything I was, everything I had, gone. So I disappeared. Fake identity, fake papers, fake life. I came to New York because it's big enough to vanish in, and I've been hiding ever since. Liam stared at her, pieces clicking into place. The fear, the isolation, the intelligence she couldn't quite hide. She wasn't just a waitress, she was a fugitive, a victim, a woman with nothing left to lose. Why tell me this? He asked. Elena met his eyes, and the vulnerability there nearly broke him. Because you asked. And because I'm tired of lying. I'm tired of being no one. You're not no one. Yes, I am. Elena Volkov is dead. She doesn't exist anymore. I'm just a ghost. Liam reached across the table and took her hand. She flinched but didn't pull away. I can help you, he said. Elena shook her head. You can't. This isn't something money can fix. You'd be surprised what money can fix. Liam, I'm serious. I have resources, Lawyers, investigators, security. If you were framed, there's proof. There has to be. We can find it. It's been 2 years. If there was proof, someone would have found it by now. Not someone. Me. Elena looked at him like he'd offered to move a mountain with his bare hands. Why would you do this? Because you helped me. Because it's the right thing to do. He paused, searching for honesty. Because I haven't cared about something outside my company and my daughter in 3 years, and I'm tired of being numb. Silence stretched between them, fragile and enormous. Finally, Elena whispered, If you do this, you'll put yourself at risk. Dmitri isn't just a thief, he's connected, dangerous. If he finds out you're helping me, I don't care. You have a daughter. Liam's grip tightened on her hand. I know, but I also know what it's like to lose everything and have to rebuild. And I know what it's like to feel alone. You don't have to do this by yourself anymore. Elena's tears came again, but this time they looked different. Less like despair, more like hope. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The next morning, Liam called Marcus into his office. We're going to Switzerland, he said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Business trip? Reconnaissance. I need everything you can find on Dmitry Koval and the Volkov family. Financial records, communications, property holdings, known associates. I want a complete profile. This about the waitress? Her name is Elena. Marcus studied him. You're really doing this? Yes. You know this could blow up in your face. It won't. It might. Liam's expression hardened. Then we'll deal with it. Get me the information, Marcus. That's an order. Marcus nodded slowly. You're the boss. After he left, Liam stood at the window of his office, looking out over the Manhattan skyline. Somewhere below, Elena was probably getting ready for her shift, putting on the uniform that didn't fit her, preparing to be invisible for another day. Not for much longer. Liam pulled out his phone and sent her a text. Dinner tonight. My place. We need to talk strategy. Her response came 30 seconds later. I'm scared. He typed back, Me too. But we're doing this anyway. Because that's what you did when something mattered. You fought for it, even when you were terrified, especially then. Elena stood outside Liam's building and questioned every decision that had led her to this moment. The tower stretched 40 stories into the Manhattan sky, all glass and steel, and the kind of money that made people disappear when they became inconvenient. She'd spent 2 years learning to be invisible, and now she was about to walk into the home of one of the most visible men in New York. Her phone buzzed. Liam's text read, Doorman has your name. 38th floor. Stop stalling. She almost smiled. Almost. The lobby was exactly what she expected. Marble floors polished to mirrors, abstract art that probably cost more than her entire year's salary. A doorman who looked at her waitress uniform with barely concealed confusion before checking his list and waving her through. The elevator ride felt like falling upward. Elena watched the numbers climb and tried to remember how to breathe. When the doors opened directly into Liam's penthouse, he was standing there in jeans and a gray t-shirt, looking nothing like the man who'd closed a $20 million deal in a 3-piece suit. More human, more dangerous because of it. You came, he said. I said I would. People say a lot of things. Elena stepped into the apartment, and the city spread out beneath her through floor-to-ceiling windows. For a second, vertigo hit her, not from the height, but from the sheer exposure of it. No place to hide, nowhere to run. Dad, is that the pizza? A girl's voice called from somewhere deeper in the apartment. Liam's expression shifted, softening in a way Elena hadn't seen before. No, Maya, it's a friend. Stay in your room, okay? Homework. I finished my homework. Then read a book. I'm already reading. Read another one, Liam called back, then looked at Elena apologetically. My daughter, she's 10 going on 30. Come on, we'll talk in my office. The office was smaller than she expected, lined with bookshelves that actually looked used. A standing desk held 3 monitors, scattered papers, cold coffee, and a mug that said, World's Okayest Dad. Liam shut the door and gestured to a leather couch that probably cost more than her car used to. Sit. I ordered Thai food. Should be here in 20 minutes. You didn't have to. You haven't eaten today, have you? Elena froze. How did you know that? Because you're terrified, and people who are terrified forget to eat. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees. I did the same thing when my wife was dying. 48 hours would go by and I'd realize I hadn't eaten anything but coffee and rage. The honesty of it hit her sideways. I'm sorry about your wife. Me too. Liam's jaw tightened. But that's not why we're here. Marcus sent over his preliminary report this afternoon. I need you to walk me through your timeline. Everything that happened, start to finish. No detail is too small. Elena's hands twisted in her lap. Where do you want me to start? The beginning. How did you meet Dimitri? She closed her eyes, dragging up memories she'd spent 2 years trying to bury. He came to work for my father's firm when I was 26. Investment analyst, brilliant resume, recommendations from 3 different banks. My father was impressed. Said Dimitri reminded him of himself at that age. And you? I thought he was charming, intense. He paid attention to me in a way that felt genuine. Most men in that world wanted access to my father's money, but Dimitri seemed different. He talked to me about books, politics, his childhood in Moscow. We started dating 6 months after he was hired. Your father approved? He encouraged it. Elena's voice went flat. He used to joke that Dimitri would be running the company someday and I'd be running Dimitri, like it was all a done deal. Liam's expression darkened. When did you get engaged? 2 years later. Small ceremony, family only. We were supposed to get married the following spring. She stopped, swallowing hard. The fraud investigation started in January. By March, I was gone. Walk me through January. What happened first? Elena forced herself to think past the panic, past the visceral memory of her world collapsing. My father called me into his office, said the auditors had found irregularities in several client accounts. Transfers that didn't match the documentation. At first, he thought it was a clerical error, but then they found more. Millions of euros moving through shell companies, false invoices, fabricated trade confirmations. And my signature was on everything. Digital signatures or physical? Both. They had emails from my account authorizing the transfers, scanned documents with my handwriting, even recorded phone calls that sounded like my voice approving transactions I'd never heard of. Liam leaned forward. Deepfakes? Maybe. I don't know. But it was good enough to convince my father. Her voice cracked. He looked at me like I was a stranger, like I'd betrayed him. And Dimitri... She stopped, the memory like broken glass in her throat. What did Dimitri do? He stood there next to my father, and he looked devastated, heartbroken. He said he couldn't believe I'd do this to my own family. He said he'd tried to protect me, tried to cover up the smaller discrepancies, but the evidence was overwhelming. He cried, actually cried, and I realized... Elena's hands were shaking now. I realized he'd been planning this for years. Every conversation we'd had, every moment of trust I gave him, he'd been building a trap, and I walked right into it. Liam's voice was cold, controlled. What happened next? The authorities came, Swiss Financial Crimes Division. They wanted to question me, seize my accounts, my passport. My father's lawyers advised full cooperation, said if I'd done nothing wrong, the investigation would clear me. But I knew better. I'd seen what happened to people accused of financial crimes in our world, guilty until proven innocent, and sometimes not even then. So I ran. How? Elena looked at him, weighing how much to reveal. Then she thought about the alternative. Staying silent, staying invisible, staying buried, and made her choice. I had a friend, Katya. She worked in the IT department, owed me a favor from years ago. I called her, told her I needed new papers and I needed them fast. She knew someone who knew someone. 2 days later, I had a passport, a work visa, and a name that didn't exist in any database my father's people could access. I emptied my personal safe, cash, jewelry, anything I could carry, and I left. Middle of the night, no goodbye, no explanation, just gone. How much money did you have? 60,000 euros in cash. I sold the jewelry for another 40. It's almost gone now. She laughed bitterly. Turns out 100,000 euros doesn't last long when you're living in New York and working minimum wage. Liam was quiet for a moment, processing. You mentioned Katya. Where is she now? I don't know. We agreed not to stay in contact. Safer that way. Anyone else who helped you? No one. I couldn't risk it. Dmitri has connections everywhere. If anyone knew I was alive, he'd find me. He thinks you're dead? Elena shook her head. I don't know what he thinks, but I made sure I disappeared completely. No digital trail, no credit cards, no social media. Elena Volkov vanished, and Elena Hart took her place. Liam stood, pacing to the window. The city glittered below them, oblivious and enormous. You said Dmitri has connections. How deep? Deep enough to steal millions and pin it on me. Deep enough to convince my father, who's not a fool, that I was guilty. Deep enough to make me disappear. Elena's voice hardened. He's not just a thief, Liam. He's a sociopath. And he's very, very good at what he does. So are my investigators. You don't understand. He'll see you coming. He'll know someone's looking into the case. And when he does, let him. Liam turned to face her, and the expression on his face was something Elena had never seen before. Pure, calculated fury. I've built a company from nothing. I've survived hostile takeovers, corporate espionage, competitors who'd sell their souls to see me fail. I'm not afraid of your ex-fiancé. You should be. Why? Because he's dangerous? So am I. The doorbell rang. Liam went to answer it, returning moments later with bags of Thai food that smelled like lemongrass and possibility. He set the containers on his desk, pushing aside financial reports and contracts. Eat, he said. Then, we're going to build a strategy. Elena picked up a container of pad Thai, her stomach twisting with hunger and anxiety. What kind of strategy? The kind that gets your life back. They ate in silence for a few minutes, and Elena felt something unfamiliar loosening in her chest. Not quite hope, not yet, but maybe the memory of what hope used to feel like. I need to know everyone involved, Liam said finally, pulling out a legal pad. Your father, Dmitri, anyone else at the firm who might have been complicit, names, positions, relationships. Elena set down her food. My father is Viktor Volkov. He founded Volkov Capital in 1987. Conservative portfolio, mostly European clients, worth about 8 billion euros. His second in command is Gregor Petrov, been with the firm since the beginning, loyal as a dog. Could Petrov have helped Dmitri? No, Gregor hated Dmitri, thought he was too ambitious, too slick. They fought constantly. What about your father's other employees? There were maybe 30 people total, analysts, traders, administrative staff, but Dmitri was the golden boy. Everyone wanted to impress him. Liam wrote it all down, his handwriting sharp and efficient. Client list? Confidential. My father kept that locked down. Only he and Gregor had full access. But Dmitri had access to the accounts. Some of them, the ones he was managing directly. How many? Elena thought back, her memory sifting through years of company dinners and strategy meetings. Maybe a dozen? High net worth individuals? A few family trusts? Nothing that should have given him access to the kind of money that went missing. Unless he escalated his access. He must have. But I don't know how. The security protocols were strict. Two-factor authentication, biometric verification for large transfers. He would have needed my father's approval for anything over €1 million. Liam tapped his pen against the pad. Or your approval. I didn't approve anything. No. But he had your signature, your voice, your email account. He could have created approvals that looked legitimate. The pieces were clicking into place, and Elena felt sick. He spent 2 years studying me, learning how I talked, how I signed my name, how I thought. He turned me into a weapon against myself. That's exactly what he did. Liam's voice was grim. And it was smart. But smart leaves a trail. There's always a trail. What if there isn't? There is. We just have to find it. A knock on the office door interrupted them. Maya's voice came through, plaintive and insistent. Dad, I'm bored. Liam sighed. You're always bored. Go watch TV. I don't want to watch TV. I want to meet your friend. Maya, please? Just for a minute? Liam looked at Elena, apologetic and resigned. She's relentless. If I don't let her in, she'll stand outside the door and narrate her entire day until I give up. Despite everything, Elena almost smiled. It's okay. Liam opened the door and Maya bounded in like a small hurricane. Dark hair and a messy ponytail, oversized Harry Potter t-shirt, bare feet. She looked at Elena with open curiosity. Hi, I'm Maya. You're really pretty. Why are you wearing a waitress uniform? Are you actually a waitress or is it a disguise? Dad says people aren't always what they seem. Maya, breathe, Liam said. I am breathing. I'm also talking. Humans can multitask. Elena found herself genuinely smiling for the first time in weeks. I am actually a waitress. No disguise. Do you like it? Not particularly. Then why do you do it? Maya. Liam's tone held a warning, but Elena shook her head. It's okay. I do it because sometimes we have to do things we don't like while we're waiting for things to get better. Maya considered this seriously. Like how I have to do math homework while I wait to grow up and become a dragon trainer. Exactly like that. Cool. Maya turned to Liam. I like her. She's honest. Can she stay for dinner next time? We'll see. Now go. Adults are talking. You're so boring when you're being responsible, Maya declared, but she left, closing the door behind her with exaggerated care. Liam rubbed his face. Sorry. She's been obsessed with meeting new people since her best friend moved to California. I think she's lonely. She's wonderful, Elena said quietly. You're lucky. I know. Something vulnerable crossed Liam's face. She's the only thing I got right after Sarah died. Everything else was just survival. Elena understood that. Survival was all she'd been doing for 2 years, just breathing, just existing, just waiting for the next disaster. It was exhausting. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why are you really doing this? You don't owe me anything. You don't even know me. Liam was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful, like he was testing each word before releasing it. My wife died 3 years ago. Cancer, fast and brutal. And I spent those last months trying to fix it, throwing money at specialists, experimental treatments, anything that might save her. But you can't buy your way out of cancer. You can't negotiate with it. And when she died, I realized how powerless I actually was. How much of my life I'd spent believing that money could solve anything, and how wrong I'd been. He met Elena's eyes. But this, what happened to you? This is something money can solve. Evidence can be found, truth can be uncovered, justice can be bought, or at least fought for. And maybe I'm doing this because I couldn't save Sarah, but I can help you. Maybe that's selfish. Maybe it's just me trying to feel like I'm not completely useless. But it's the truth. Elena's throat tightened. That's not selfish, isn't it? No, it's human. They sat with that for a moment, the honesty hanging between them like something fragile and real. Finally, Liam cleared his throat and returned to the legal pad. Marcus is already running background on Dimitri. I've got contacts in Switzerland who can access financial records without triggering alerts. It'll take time, but we'll find something. And if we don't, we will. You can't know that. Liam's expression hardened. Yes, I can. Because people like Dimitri get arrogant. They think they're untouchable, and that arrogance leaves cracks. We're going to find those cracks, and we're going to rip them wide open. Elena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this wasn't just another disaster waiting to happen, but trust had almost destroyed her once before. What do you need from me? She asked. Everything you remember, dates, transactions, conversations, anything Dimitri said that seemed off, any detail that didn't fit. We're going to build a timeline and find the inconsistencies. That could take weeks. Then it takes weeks. I'm not going anywhere. Elena looked at him, this man who'd inserted himself into her catastrophe with the same intensity he probably brought to corporate negotiations, and made a decision. She'd been running for 2 years, maybe it was time to fight. Okay, she said, let's do this. They worked until midnight. Elena talked, Liam wrote, and slowly a picture emerged. Dimitri's calculated charm, the way he'd positioned himself as indispensable to Victor, the small favors and careful manipulations that had built his access piece by piece. The timeline was damning in its precision. Everything had been planned. Around 11, Maya appeared in pajamas to say goodnight. She hugged Liam, then surprised Elena by hugging her too. "You look sad," Maya said matter-of-factly. "But Dad's really good at fixing things. He fixed my bike when I crashed it into a tree. He'll fix whatever's wrong." "Maya, that's not—" Liam started, but Elena touched his arm. "Thank you, Maya. That's very kind." After Maya left, Liam walked Elena to the elevator. "I'll have Marcus set up a secure communication channel," he said. "Don't use your regular phone or email for anything related to this. Assume everything's being monitored. You think Dimitri's tracking me?" "I think we don't take chances." The elevator doors opened. Elena stepped inside, then turned back. "Liam?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for believing me." His expression softened. "You saved me from a corporate disaster with a napkin note. This is the least I can do." "I think it's more than that." "Maybe. Get home safe, Elena." The doors closed and Elena descended back into the city, feeling lighter than she had in 2 years. Scared, yes. Uncertain, absolutely. But not alone. Not anymore. The next morning, Marcus arrived at Liam's office with a file 6 inches thick. "Dmitry Koval," he announced, dropping it on the desk. 34 years old, born in Moscow, educated at LSE, currently senior vice president at Volkov Capital. Clean record, impressive resume, no red flags on the surface. "Dig deeper," Liam said. Marcus grinned. "Already did. He's good, but he's not perfect." 3 years ago, there were rumors about insider trading at his previous employer. Nothing proven. Case quietly dropped. Before that, a harassment complaint from a junior analyst that disappeared after a settlement. And here's the interesting part. His finances don't match his salary. Liam looked up. "Explain." "Koval makes good money, but not $8 million apartment in Zurich money. Not drive a Bentley and vacation in Monaco money. He's living well above his disclosed income, which means money's coming from somewhere else. The stolen funds. That'd be my guess, but proving it's going to be hard. He's smart enough to layer it through shell companies and offshore accounts." Liam leaned back in his chair. "What about his current position at Volkov Capital?" "Still there. Still golden. Viktor Volkov promoted him 6 months ago. Gave him a bigger portfolio, more responsibility. Apparently, he stepped up after Elena's disappearance." The irony was bitter. Dmitri had destroyed Elena and been rewarded for it. "I need access to Volkov Capital's internal systems," Liam said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That's illegal." "I didn't say legal access." "Boss, I'm not asking you to do it. I'm asking you to find someone who can." Marcus sighed. "You're going to get us both arrested." "Not if we're careful. Find me a hacker. Someone good, someone discreet." "This is insane." "Probably. Do it anyway." Marcus left, muttering about billionaires with death wishes. Liam pulled out his phone and texted Elena. "Making progress. Need to meet tonight. Same place?" Her response came quickly. "I have a shift until 11. After? I'll wait." He spent the rest of the day in meetings he barely paid attention to, his mind running scenarios and probabilities. His CFO asked him 3 times if he was listening. He wasn't. That night, he showed up at Aurelius at 10:45 and took a corner table. Elena saw him, and something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, or concern. When her shift ended, she changed out of her uniform and met him at the table, looking exhausted. "You didn't have to come here," she said. "I wanted to. Besides, I have an update." They walked to a coffee shop that stayed open late, the kind where NYU students studied until dawn and nobody cared who you were. Liam ordered 2 coffees and found a booth in the back. Marcus confirmed Dimitri's living beyond his means, he said without preamble, which means he's spending the money he stole. "We just need to prove it." Elena's hands wrapped around her coffee cup. "How?" "We're going to hack Volkov Capital's servers." She went pale. "That's illegal, yes. Also necessary. If the evidence exists, it's in those systems. Bank records, transaction logs, communication between Dmitri and whoever else was involved. We find that. We find proof." "If you get caught, I won't." "Liam, you could lose everything. Your company, your reputation. Maya is fine. And I'm not going to get caught because I'm not going to do it myself. I'm hiring professionals. Professionals who could turn on you. They won't. Marcus is vetting them personally. Elena looked at him like he'd lost his mind. Maybe he had. This is crazy, she said. Probably. You could just walk away, forget about me. Go back to your normal life. Liam leaned forward. Is that what you want? No. But I don't want you to destroy yourself for me either. I'm not destroying myself. I'm taking a calculated risk. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. His voice softened. Elena, I spent 3 years playing it safe, building my company, raising my daughter, not taking any chances because I was terrified of losing what I had left. And I was miserable. Successful, but miserable. This, helping you, it's the first thing I've cared about in years that isn't just about survival. So no, I'm not walking away. Not unless you tell me to. Elena stared at him, and Liam saw the exact moment she stopped fighting. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They talked strategy for another hour. Elena provided details about Volkov Capital's security protocols, system architecture, server locations. She'd spent 4 years working there in various capacities. She knew how the company operated, where the vulnerabilities were. The backups are stored on a separate server in Frankfurt, she said, less secure than the primary systems. If your hacker can access that, they might find deleted files, old emails, transaction records Dmitry thought were erased. That's good. That's exactly what we need. They parted ways near midnight, and Liam walked back to his car feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Not quite happiness, but purpose. Direction. The sense that he was moving towards something instead of just running in place. His phone rang. Marcus. Found your hacker, Marcus said. Goes by Cypher. Freelance, expensive, and supposedly the best in the business. But boss, this is serious. If this goes wrong, it won't. You keep saying that like you can control it. I can. You can't control everything, Liam. Sarah taught you that. The mention of his wife's name hit harder than it should have. Liam's grip tightened on the phone. Set up a meeting with Cypher, he said quietly. Tomorrow. And Marcus? Thank you. Don't thank me until this is over. Liam hung up and drove home through empty streets, the city sleeping around him. When he got to the penthouse, he checked on Maya, asleep with a book on her chest, drooling slightly, and stood in her doorway for a long moment. He was risking a lot, maybe too much, but when he thought about Elena's face, the fear and hope warring in her eyes, he knew he'd made the right choice. Some things were worth the risk. The meeting with Cypher happened in a parking garage in Queens at 2 a.m, because apparently hackers had a flair for the dramatic. Liam arrived with Marcus, both of them tense and alert. A figure emerged from the shadows, small, androgynous, wearing a hoodie and a surgical mask. You Ashford? The voice was electronically distorted. I am. Marcus vouched for you. Said you need access to a Swiss financial firm's servers, that right? Yes. Volkov Capital? Liam went still. How did you know? Cypher laughed, the sound eerie through the distortion. Because I've been tracking anomalies in their systems for 6 months. Someone's been covering their tracks, erasing transaction logs, scrubbing communication records. Professional work. Almost perfect. Almost. What did you find? Fragments. Deleted emails that weren't fully overwritten. Ghost transactions in the backup files. Nothing concrete yet, but enough to know someone's hiding something big. You want me to dig deeper? It'll cost you. How much? 200,000. Half up front, half when I deliver. Liam didn't blink. Done. Cypher studied him. You're either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. How long will it take? Depends what's buried in there. Could be a week, could be a month, but I'll find it. I always do. One condition, Liam said. If you find evidence of fraud, I need copies of everything. Complete, unedited, forensically sound. Nothing that can be dismissed in court. Planning to go legal with this? Eventually. Cypher nodded. Smart. I'll get you what you need. Check your secure drop tomorrow. Instructions will be there. The hacker disappeared back into the shadows. leaving Liam and Marcus alone in the fluorescent-lit garage. "I hope you know what you're doing," Marcus said. "So do I." But as Liam drove home, watching the sunrise bleed across the Manhattan skyline, he felt something close to certainty. This was going to work. It had to, because Elena deserved her life back. And Liam was going to make sure she got it. 3 weeks passed before Cypher delivered, and they were the longest weeks of Liam's life. He threw himself into work during the day, attended board meetings where he nodded at the right times and signed off on expansions he barely registered. At night, he met Elena in coffee shops and park benches, anywhere that felt anonymous enough to talk. They built a friendship in those stolen hours, something cautious and real beneath all the strategy and fear. She told him about growing up in Switzerland, how her mother had died when she was 12 and left her alone with a father who loved her but didn't know how to show it. How she'd learned to read people's intentions early, to navigate rooms full of powerful men who saw her as either a trophy or a threat. How Dimitri had been different at first, or at least she'd convinced herself he was. Liam told her about Sarah, how they'd met in college and built a life that felt unbreakable until cancer proved him wrong. How Maya had saved him from completely falling apart, because you couldn't grieve properly when a 7-year-old needed breakfast and help with math homework. How he'd turned himself into someone hard and efficient because soft things broke too easily. "You're not as hard as you think," Elena said one night, sitting on a bench in Central Park while joggers passed and the city hummed around them. "Sure I am." "No, you're just scared. There's a difference." Liam looked at her, this woman who'd lost everything and somehow still had enough courage to call him on his defenses. "You're one to talk." "I know, I'm terrified constantly. But at least I admit it." "Fine. I'm scared. Happy?" Elena smiled, small and sad. "Not particularly, but it's honest." The file from Cypher arrived on a Thursday morning, uploaded to an encrypted server with instructions that read like something from a spy novel. Liam downloaded everything onto an air-gapped laptop Marcus had acquired specifically for this purpose. No internet connection, no network access, nothing that could leak. The data was massive. Thousands of emails, transaction logs going back 5 years, deleted communications that Cypher had somehow resurrected from backup servers. Liam called Elena and told her to come to his office immediately. She arrived 40 minutes later, pale and shaking. "Is it bad?" she asked. "I don't know yet. Let's find out." They spent the next 6 hours combing through files. Marcus joined them, along with a forensic accountant Liam had hired under an NDA, so strict it would bankrupt the man if he breathed a word. What they found was damning. The forensic accountant, a nervous man named David Chen, who looked like he'd never broken a rule in his life, pulled up a series of transactions that made Liam's blood run cold. "These transfers," David said, pointing at the screen with a pen that trembled slightly, "they all originated from accounts Elena had signature authority over. But look at the timestamps. 3 of them happened while she was on vacation in Barcelona. 2 more occurred during a company retreat in Vienna, where she was documented as being in meetings. She couldn't have authorized them because she wasn't physically present." Elena leaned closer, her breath catching. "I remember that Barcelona trip. That was with Dimitri. We spent a week there for my birthday." "Perfect alibi for him," Marcus muttered. "He's with you. Witnesses can confirm it, but meanwhile he's executing transactions in your name from Switzerland." "But the system requires biometric verification," Elena said. "Fingerprint scan, facial recognition. How did he bypass that?" David pulled up another file. "He didn't bypass it. He replicated it. Look at these access logs. Your biometrics were used, but the metadata shows the scans were pre-recorded and injected into the system. Sophisticated, but not impossible if you have the right access and technical knowledge." Liam's jaw tightened. "Did Dimitri have that access?" "He was on the IT security committee," Elena said quietly. "My father put him there 6 months before we got engaged. Said it was good for him to understand the company's infrastructure." "Convenient," Marcus said darkly. They kept digging. Email chains emerged showing Dimitri communicating with offshore shell companies using encrypted channels that weren't part of Volkov Capital's official systems. Coded language that looked innocent on the surface but clearly referenced the movement of funds. References to Project Phoenix that appeared in 17 different communications over an 18-month period. Phoenix, Elena whispered. That was his nickname for me. He said I was like a phoenix because I'd risen above my mother's death. Built something beautiful from tragedy. I thought it was romantic. He was mocking you, Liam said, voice hard. Using your trauma as a code name for stealing your life. Elena's hands clenched into fists. What else? David pulled up a spreadsheet. The missing funds total approximately 43 million euros. They were moved through 6 different shell companies, all registered in jurisdictions with strict banking secrecy laws. Cayman Islands, Panama, Singapore. But Cypher found the endpoints. 3 accounts in Liechtenstein, all opened 2 months before the fraud investigation began. And here's the smoking gun. He opened a scanned document, a bank signature card. The account holder's name was listed as DK Holdings. Dmitry Koval, Marcus said. His initials, yes, but look at the secondary authorized user. Liam leaned in. The name made his stomach drop. Gregor Petrov. No, Elena breathed. No, Gregor wouldn't. He was loyal to my father for 30 years. He hated Dmitry. Maybe that was the cover, Marcus said. What better way to avoid suspicion than to publicly feud with your co-conspirator? David nodded. The communication logs support it. Encrypted emails between Dmitry and Gregor discussing the transition, securing the assets, managing Victor's response. They planned this together. Elena stood abruptly, knocking her chair back. She walked to the window, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold herself together. Liam followed. He took everything, she said, voice breaking. My father, my home, my name, and Gregor was there the whole time, watching me fall apart, pretending to comfort my father while he counted his blood money. We can prove it now, Liam said quietly. We have the evidence. Transaction logs, emails, bank records. This is enough to take to the authorities. Is it? Elena turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. Dmitry has connections everywhere. Swiss prosecutors, regulators, politicians. What if they bury this like they buried everything else? They won't, not if we go bigger. What do you mean? Liam's mind was already racing, calculating angles and leverage points. We don't just go to Swiss authorities. We go international. Interpol, the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, the European banking regulators. We flood the zone with evidence from so many directions they can't suppress it all. And we leak it to the press. Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, Reuters. Make it too big to ignore. Marcus looked worried. Boss, if we do that, there's no taking it back. You'll be declaring war. Good. I'm tired of playing defense. Elena grabbed his arm. Liam, if you do this, Dmitry will come after you, after your company, after everything you've built. Let him try. You don't understand what he's capable of. I understand exactly what he's capable of. And I'm still not backing down. Liam's voice softened. Elena, you've been running for 2 years. Don't you want to stop? She looked at him with something raw and desperate in her eyes. More than anything. Then let's finish this. The decision made, they moved fast. David compiled the evidence into a comprehensive report, organized chronologically with supporting documentation for every claim. Marcus contacted law enforcement agencies through back channels, preparing the ground for simultaneous submissions. Liam reached out to journalists he'd worked with over the years, promising them the financial scandal of the decade. Everything was set to go live in 72 hours. That's when Dmitry made his move. Liam was in a board meeting when his phone exploded with alerts. Stock price plummeting. Emergency trading halt requested. His CFO burst into the conference room, face ashen. We've been hacked. Someone dumped our entire R&D roadmap online. Product specs, development timelines, proprietary algorithms, everything. The room erupted in chaos. Board members shouting, phones ringing, lawyers demanding explanations. Liam sat frozen for 3 seconds, his mind cataloging implications. Then he stood. Meeting adjourned. Everyone out except Marcus. The board filed out, still shouting. Marcus closed the door and leaned against it. It's Dmitry, he said. Has to be. How did he know we were investigating him? Someone talked, or he's been monitoring Elena and noticed the pattern change. Either way, he's sending a message. Liam's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Ashford. The voice was smooth, accented, confident. I believe we have matters to discuss. Dmitry Koval. The same. I must commend you on your investigative efforts. Very thorough, but also very foolish. Is that a threat? An observation. You've involved yourself in something that doesn't concern you. Elena is a criminal who fled justice. Whatever story she told you is a lie. I've seen the evidence. I know what you did. Dmitry laughed. Evidence can be interpreted many ways, and I have resources you can't imagine. This little hack today? That's nothing. I can destroy your company, Mr. Ashford. I can ruin your reputation, tank your stock, make sure you spend the next decade in litigation. Or you can walk away. Forget about Elena. Go back to your life. The choice is yours. Liam's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles went white. Here's my counteroffer. You have 48 hours to turn yourself in to Swiss authorities. If you don't, I'm releasing everything we found to every law enforcement agency and media outlet in the Western world. Your accounts will be frozen. Your name will be destroyed, and you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. Silence on the line. Then Dmitry's voice came back, colder. You just made a terrible mistake. The call disconnected. Marcus was already on his phone, barking orders to their security team. We need to lock down everything. Company servers, Elena's location, your daughter, Maya. Liam's heart stopped. Where is she? School. Her security detail is with her. Get her now. Bring her here. Full protection. Marcus made the call while Liam tried to control the panic rising in his chest. He'd known there would be consequences. He'd prepared for corporate attacks, legal battles, public relations nightmares. But threatening his daughter was a line he hadn't imagined Dmitry would cross. He'd been naive. 20 minutes later, Maya arrived with her bodyguard, confused and scared. Liam pulled her into his office and tried to smile like nothing was wrong. Hey, sweetheart, change of plans. You're staying with me today. Why? What's happening? Just some work stuff. Nothing to worry about. Maya looked at him with the exact expression Sarah used to give him when he was lying. You're a terrible liar, Dad. I know, but I need you to trust me, okay? Just for a little while. She nodded, but her eyes were too old, too knowing. Liam texted Elena. Dmitry knows. Need to move you to a safe location, now. Her response came immediately. I can't. I have work. Quit. I'll pay you whatever you were making. This isn't negotiable. Where? Liam thought fast. Marcus, what's the most secure location we have access to? There's a safe house in Connecticut. 20 acres, gated, full security system. I use it for witness protection consultations sometimes. Get Elena there. And Marcus? Nobody follows her. No surveillance, no tracking. Assume everything's compromised. Marcus nodded and left. Liam turned back to Maya, who was watching him with worried eyes. Is someone trying to hurt us? She asked quietly. He could lie, should lie, but Maya deserved better. Maybe. I'm not sure yet, but I promise you're safe. I won't let anything happen to you. Is this about Elena? Liam went still. What makes you say that? Because you've been different since you met her. You smile more. You're here less. And now you're scared. Maya's voice was matter-of-fact, but her hands were shaking. I'm not stupid, Dad. I never thought you were. Liam pulled her into a hug. Yes, this is about Elena. I'm trying to help her with something, and some bad people don't want me to. But it's going to be okay. You can't promise that. Watch me. But as he held his daughter, feeling her small body trembling against his chest, Liam wondered if he'd just made a promise he couldn't keep. The next 24 hours were a nightmare of controlled chaos. Liam's company stock continued to tank as competitors seized on the leaked information. His legal team fielded calls from angry investors threatening lawsuits. The board demanded his resignation, and through it all, Dmitry stayed silent, which somehow felt more threatening than any direct attack. Elena was safely hidden in Connecticut, but the isolation was eating at her. She called Liam every few hours, voice tight with guilt and fear. This is my fault, she said during one call. I never should have involved you. You should let me go, just walk away. Not happening. Liam, I said no. He was in his office, staring at financial projections that looked like a murder scene. We're past the point of walking away. Dmitry already knows everything. The only way out is through. What if we can't win? We will. How can you be so sure? Because the alternative is unacceptable. Silence on the line. Then Elena's voice, small and broken. I'm scared. Me too. But we're going to do this anyway. He hung up and turned to find Marcus in the doorway, holding a tablet with an expression that made Liam's stomach sink. What now? Gregor Petrov just held a press conference in Zurich. He's accusing you of corporate espionage and claiming Elena manipulated you into attacking Volkov Capital. Says you hacked their systems and fabricated evidence to frame innocent people. Liam took the tablet and watched the video. Gregor looked perfectly composed, white-haired and grandfatherly, speaking in measured tones about the tragedy of Elena's corruption and the unfortunate delusion of an American billionaire who'd been seduced by a criminal's lies. It was masterful, sympathetic, believable. He's flipping the narrative, Marcus said, making you the villain. Let him. We still have the evidence. Evidence they're claiming is fabricated. Forensic analysis will prove it's real. That takes time. And in the meantime, your reputation is getting destroyed. Marcus paused. Boss, the board is talking about forcing you out. They're scared this scandal will sink the company. Liam looked at him steadily. Tell the board they can try. I own 40% of the shares. They'll need a supermajority to oust me, and they won't get it. You sure about that? No. But I'm betting they care more about money than morality, and right now I'm still the best chance they have at recovering the stock price. He was right. The board vote failed, but barely. 6 members abstained, sending a clear message that Liam's position was precarious. One more disaster, and they'd turn on him. Dmitry knew it too. The next attack came at midnight, a carefully orchestrated leak to a gossip blog that typically covered celebrity divorces and hedge fund scandals. Photos of Liam and Elena together, taken by a photographer Liam had never noticed. The caption read, Billionaire's questionable new romance. Tech mogul. Liam Ashford, spotted with wanted fraud. Suspect Elena Volkov. Within hours, it was everywhere. Twitter exploded with speculation. Financial news outlets picked it up, framing it as a judgment scandal. Was Liam compromised? Had he fallen for a con artist? Was his company safe under leadership that showed such poor personal judgment? Liam's phone rang at 2 a.m, Maya's private school. Mr. Ashford, I'm afraid we need to discuss Maya's enrollment. Several parents have expressed concerns about the recent publicity and Don't! Liam's voice was ice. Don't you dare finish that sentence. My daughter has done nothing wrong. If you even suggest punishing her for my actions, I will bury your institution in lawsuits so deep you'll be teaching in a public school by next semester. Silence. Then, of course, Mr. Ashford, I apologize for any... He hung up. Maya appeared in his doorway, clutching her stuffed dragon. They're being mean about you at school. Liam's heart broke. I know, baby. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It kind of is. She climbed into his lap. Too big for it, really, but neither of them cared. Are you going to marry Elena? The question caught him completely off guard. What? No, why would you? Because you look at her the way you used to look at Mom. Liam couldn't breathe. Maya, it's okay if you do. I think Mom would want you to be happy. And Elena's nice, sad but nice. I'm not trying to replace your mother. I know, but you're allowed to not be alone forever. Maya looked up at him with Sarah's eyes. You tell me all the time that it's okay to be scared but do things anyway. Maybe you should listen to your own advice. From the mouths of children, Liam held her until she fell asleep, then carried her back to her room and stood in the doorway watching her breathe. His phone buzzed. Marcus. We have a problem. Someone tried to access the safe house tonight. Security scared them off, but Elena's shaken. She wants to leave. Tell her no. It's not safe. Already did. She's not listening. Liam cursed and grabbed his keys. Connecticut was 90 minutes away at this hour, assuming no traffic. He made it in 70, breaking every speed limit and not caring. The safe house was a converted farmhouse surrounded by woods and security cameras. Marcus met him at the gate, looking exhausted. She's inside, won't talk to me. Liam found Elena in the living room, pacing like a caged animal. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, hair tangled, eyes red. You shouldn't have come, she said. You're trying to leave. I can't stay here. I can't keep hiding while your life falls apart. My life isn't falling apart. Your stock is down 30%. Your board tried to oust you. Your daughter's school is harassing you, and it's all because of me. Elena's voice cracked. I'm destroying you, just like I destroyed my father, just like I destroy everything I touch. Liam crossed the room and grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. You didn't destroy anything. Dimitri did. And yes, helping you has cost me. But I made that choice knowing the price. Don't you dare take that away from me. Why? Tears were streaming down her face. Why would you sacrifice everything for someone you barely know? Because... Liam stopped, the truth sitting in his throat like something sharp and undeniable. Because when I look at you, I see someone who deserves to be fought for. And I'm tired of being the kind of person who walks away when things get hard. Elena stared at him. Then, without warning, she kissed him. It was desperate and messy and tasted like salt from her tears, and Liam felt something in his chest crack open that he'd kept locked since Sarah died. He kissed her back, one hand tangling in her hair, the other pulling her closer, and for just a moment everything else disappeared. The scandal, the fear, the war they were fighting, none of it mattered. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Elena looked at him with wonder and terror. I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe it took you this long, Liam said, and was rewarded with a laugh that sounded like light breaking through clouds. Then reality crashed back in. Marcus cleared his throat from the doorway, looking uncomfortable. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got movement on the security perimeter. 3 vehicles, no plates. They're not approaching, but they're watching. The moment shattered. Liam's jaw tightened. How did they find this location? I don't know, but we need to move. Now. They evacuated within 10 minutes, leaving through a back exit that led into the woods. Marcus had a car waiting half a mile away, keys in the ignition. They drove through back roads with the lights off, Marcus checking mirrors constantly, while Liam held Elena's hand and tried to think. Dimitri was escalating. Finding the safe house meant he had resources Liam hadn't anticipated. People inside law enforcement or private security feeding him information. Maybe both. We're running out of time, Elena said quietly. He's going to find us again. Then we stopped running. How? Liam pulled out his phone and made a call. It rang 4 times before a woman answered, voice thick with sleep. This better be important, Ashford. Rebecca, I need a favor. Rebecca Grant was the senior investigative reporter at the Financial Times, known for breaking scandals that ended careers and sometimes governments. Liam had given her exclusive access to his company's IPO 3 years ago, and she'd written a profile that was fair and thorough and made him look like less of a robot than most coverage. She owed him. What kind of favor? She asked, sounding more awake now. The kind that wins Pulitzer Prizes. Can you meet me in 2 hours? Where? I'll send coordinates. Come alone. And Rebecca? This is going to be the biggest story you've ever written. She hung up without agreeing, but Liam knew she'd come. Reporters like Rebecca didn't pass up leads like this. They met in a diner off I-95, the kind that served truck drivers and insomniacs and didn't ask questions. Rebecca arrived exactly on time, carrying a leather bag that probably held 3 recording devices and a notepad. She looked at Elena with sharp, assessing eyes. Elena Volkov, you're supposed to be a fugitive. I am, Elena said. And you're helping her? Rebecca turned to Liam. Do you have any idea how insane this is? Completely, which is why you're going to love it. Liam pulled out a flash drive. Everything's on here. 43 million euros in fraud, falsified evidence, a conspiracy involving multiple high-level executives at Volkov Capital, bank records, emails, transaction logs. It's all documented. Rebecca took the drive like it might explode. If this is real, it's real. I've had forensic accountants verify everything, and I'm giving you exclusive access before I hand it to law enforcement. Why? Because Dmitry Koval has connections in law enforcement. If I just submit this through official channels, it might get buried. But if you publish first, create public pressure, they'll have to act. Too many eyes watching. Rebecca looked at Elena. You're willing to go on record? Elena swallowed hard. Yes. Your father's going to hate you for this. My father already believes the worst of me. At least this way, the truth comes out. Rebecca studied them both for a long moment. Then she opened her laptop. Start talking. I want every detail. They talked for 3 hours. Elena recounted her story from the beginning, answering Rebecca's sharp questions without flinching. Liam provided the documentation, walking her through the evidence trail piece by piece. By the time they finished, Rebecca's expression had shifted from skepticism to grim determination. "This is massive," she said. "If I run this, Volkov Capital will come after the paper. So will Koval. They'll sue, claim defamation, try to bury us in legal fees." "Will your editors back you?" Liam asked. "If the evidence is solid, yes. And this—" She held up the flash drive. "This is solid. How fast can you publish?" 48 hours if I push. Maybe faster if I call in favors." "Make it 24. Please." Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "What's the rush?" "Because Dimitri's escalating. He already attacked my company, found our safe house, leaked photos to destroy my reputation. The longer we wait, the more damage he can do, or the more time you have to prepare a defense." "I don't want to defend. I want to win." Rebecca smiled, sharp and predatory. "Then I'll make it 24 hours. But Ashford, if this blows up in my face, I'm burning you with it." "Fair enough." She left with the flash drive and a promise to send them an advance copy before publication. Marcus drove them to a new location, this one a hotel in New Jersey that catered to business travelers and didn't care about guests who checked in at dawn. Liam got 2 adjoining rooms, though he suspected neither of them would sleep. He was right. He and Elena sat in his room, watching the sun come up through cheap curtains, both too wired to rest. "What happens after the story breaks?" Elena asked. "Media firestorm. Law enforcement will have to respond. Swiss authorities, Interpol, probably the FBI, since American citizens invested in Volkov Capital. Dimitri and Gregor will be arrested if there's any justice in the world." "And if there isn't? Then we keep fighting." Elena leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm sorry I dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me. I jumped." "Why? And don't give me that line about needing purpose. I know there's more." Liam was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was raw. "Because you reminded me what it feels like to care about something outside myself. After Sarah died, I turned into this machine. Efficient, successful, emotionally dead. I told myself it was for Maya, that I was being a good father by building security and stability. But really, I was just hiding. And then you handed me a note in a restaurant, and I saw someone who'd lost everything but was still trying to protect a stranger. That kind of courage, I'd forgotten it existed." Elena turned to look at him. "You're more than a machine, Liam. Maybe now, because of you." She kissed him again, slower this time, and Liam let himself fall into it. Let himself feel something other than calculation and control. When they finally pulled apart, Elena was crying. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "I don't know how to let someone care about me without destroying them." "You're not going to destroy me." "You can't know that. Watch me prove it." They stayed like that until Marcus knocked with coffee and news. "Rebecca's editor approved the story," he said. "It's running tomorrow morning, front page, digital, and print." "And boss?" "She found additional evidence. A whistleblower at Volkov Capital came forward after she started asking questions. Someone from their compliance department who's been documenting irregularities for months." Liam sat up straighter. "Who?" "She wouldn't say. But whoever it is, they have access to internal communications that even Cypher didn't find. Audio recordings of Dimitri and Gregor discussing the setup. Time-stamped, verified, impossible to fake." Elena's hand found Liam's and squeezed. "It's really happening." "Yeah, it is." But as Liam looked at Marcus's expression, he knew there was more. "What else?" Marcus hesitated. "Dimitri knows about the article. Someone at the Times leaked the story before publication. He's preparing a counteroffensive. Press conference scheduled for this afternoon. Full legal team. Accusations of conspiracy and fraud against you and Elena. He's going scorched earth." "Let him. We have the truth." "Truth doesn't always win, boss. You know that." Liam did know that. He'd seen too many corporate battles where the person with the best lawyers triumphed over the person who was right. But this time felt different. This time he wasn't fighting alone. He looked at Elena, saw the fear and determination warring in her eyes, and made a decision. "Call Rebecca. Tell her to publish now. Don't wait for morning. Every hour we delay gives Dmitri more time to spin the narrative. That's risky. She might not. She will. She's a reporter. She lives for breaking news before the competition. Marcus made the call. 5 minutes later, he hung up with a grim smile. Story goes live in 2 hours. She said, and I quote, "Tell Ashford he's either brilliant or suicidal, and I'm not sure which." Probably both, Liam muttered. They spent those 2 hours in tense silence, watching news feeds and waiting for the explosion. When it came, it was bigger than Liam had imagined. The Financial Times article was devastating. Rebecca had laid out the entire conspiracy with surgical precision, supported by documents that couldn't be dismissed or ignored. Bank records showing the stolen funds flowing into accounts controlled by Dmitri and Gregor. Emails discussing the frame job. Audio recordings of Dmitri laughing about how easy it had been to manipulate Viktor Volkov into turning against his own daughter. Within 30 minutes, every major news outlet had picked it up. Swiss prosecutors issued a statement saying they were opening a new investigation. Interpol released an alert. The FBI announced they were reviewing evidence related to American investors in Volkov Capital. And Dmitri's carefully planned press conference turned into a disaster as reporters ambushed him with questions about the Financial Times evidence. Liam watched the live stream as Dmitri tried to maintain composure, failed, and finally stormed out without answering anything. "We won," Elena breathed. "We actually won." But Liam wasn't celebrating yet. He knew men like Dmitri. Cornered animals were the most dangerous kind. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "Congratulations," Dmitri said, voice cold. "You've made a powerful enemy." "You were already my enemy." "No. Before you were just an inconvenience. Now you've destroyed my life, so I'm going to destroy yours, starting with the thing you love most." The call ended. Liam's blood turned to ice. "Marcus, where's Maya?" Marcus was already pulling out his phone, calling the security team. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. "The school," Liam said, voice shaking. "Call the school." Marcus did. The receptionist answered, cheerful and oblivious. "Ashford residence? Oh yes, Maya was picked up an hour ago by her approved guardian. Everything's fine." "What guardian?" Liam demanded. "I didn't authorize any pickup." "The authorization came through your office, Mr. Ashford. Signed and verified. Is there a problem?" Liam hung up and ran. The drive back to Manhattan was a blur of panic and rage. Liam's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles went white. Marcus barking orders into his phone from the passenger seat, coordinating with local police, private security, anyone who might help locate a missing 10-year-old girl. Elena sat in the back, silent and pale, guilt radiating off her like heat. "This is my fault," she whispered. "He took her because of me." "Shut up," Liam said, voice flat and deadly. "Don't talk. Just let me think." He couldn't think. His mind was a screaming void of terror and what-ifs. Maya's face kept appearing behind his eyes, laughing over breakfast, reading under her covers, hugging him goodnight with her stuffed dragon clutched tight. If Dmitri hurt her, if he so much as scared her, Liam would burn the world down to find him. Marcus hung up and turned to him. "Police are issuing an Amber Alert. They're checking traffic cameras near the school, but whoever picked her up knew what they were doing. No plates visible. Generic sedan. Driver wore a hat and sunglasses. Professional." "Dmitri wouldn't do this himself. He hired someone." "Agreed. Which means Maya's probably not in immediate danger. She's leverage, not a target." "That's supposed to make me feel better?" Marcus's expression was grim. "No. But it means we have time to find her before—" Liam's phone rang. Unknown number again. He answered on speaker. "Mr. Ashford," a woman's voice, accented, unfamiliar. "Your daughter is safe. For now." "Who is this?" "Someone who works for Mr. Koval. He asked me to deliver a message. If you want to see Maya again, you will retract everything. Issue a public statement admitting you fabricated evidence, apologize to Volkov Capital, and convince the Financial Times to pull their story. You have 12 hours. "That's impossible. The story's already out." "Then I suggest you get creative. 12 hours, Mr. Ashford, or your daughter disappears permanently." The line went dead. Liam pulled over to the side of the highway, hands shaking so badly he couldn't drive. Marcus took the wheel without a word. Elena leaned forward, her voice breaking. Liam, I'm so sorry. I never thought he'd... I know. Liam's voice was hollow. This isn't your fault. It's mine. I underestimated him. What are we going to do? I don't know. But that was a lie. He did know. There was only one move left. He called Rebecca Grant. Ashford, I'm kind of busy dealing with the international shitstorm you just created. Swiss prosecutors are... He took my daughter. Silence. Then, what? Dmitry Koval kidnapped Maya. He's demanding I retract everything and get you to pull the story. I have 12 hours. Jesus, have you called the police? Yes, they're looking, but we both know they won't find her in time. Dmitry's too smart for that. Rebecca's voice hardened. I'm not pulling the story. I know. I wouldn't ask you to, but I need your help with something else. What? I need you to publish a follow-up, right now, naming Dmitry as the primary suspect in the kidnapping of my daughter. Make it impossible for him to move her without being recognized. Flood every news outlet, social media, law enforcement. Make him too visible to act. You're talking about using the press to force his hand. I'm talking about using every weapon I have to get my daughter back. Will you do it? Rebecca was quiet for 3 seconds that felt like years. Send me what you have. Photos of Maya, description of the vehicle, timeline. I'll have it published in 20 minutes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could blow up in all of our faces. She hung up. Liam sent her everything. Photos from Maya's school file, security footage from the pickup, the recording of the threatening phone call. Then he made another call, this one to someone he'd hoped never to contact again. Viktor Volkov answered on the third ring. His voice was cold, heavily accented. Ashford, I wondered when you would call. Your daughter is innocent. The evidence proves it. And right now, the man who framed her has kidnapped my child. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I need you to answer honestly. Do you know where Dmitry Koval is? Viktor was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice had changed, something broken underneath the ice. You've seen the Financial Times article. Everyone's seen it. Then you know what Dmitry did to my company, to my family, to Elena. Viktor's voice cracked. I was wrong about her, about everything, and I will carry that shame until I die. That's not what I asked. Dmitry disappeared 4 hours ago, emptied his accounts, destroyed files, vanished. My people are searching, but he is clever, too clever. He has my daughter. I know, I heard the news, Viktor paused. Elena, is she with you? Liam glanced at the back seat where Elena sat frozen, tears streaming silently down her face. Yes. Tell her, Viktor's voice broke completely. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I should have believed her. Tell her I failed as a father, and I will spend whatever time I have left trying to make this right. Tell her yourself. Liam handed his phone to Elena. She took it with shaking hands. Papa? Whatever Viktor said made her dissolve into sobs. She spoke in rapid German, words tumbling over each other too fast for Liam to follow. When she finally handed the phone back, her face was blotchy and devastated. He's sending his security team to help find Maya, she said. He has contacts in law enforcement, people who owe him favors. He's calling them all. Will it be enough? I don't know. The next 6 hours were a special kind of hell. Rebecca's article hit the internet like a bomb, spreading across every platform. Dmitry's face was suddenly everywhere. News broadcasts, social media feeds, wanted posters going up in airports and train stations. The FBI issued a warrant for his arrest on kidnapping charges. Interpol elevated his status to red notice. The entire law enforcement apparatus of 2 continents was looking for him. But 6 hours passed, and there was no sign of Maya. Liam sat in Marcus's office, surrounded by monitors showing traffic cameras and police communications, drinking coffee that tasted like ash. Elena paced behind him, wearing a path in the carpet. Marcus coordinated with a dozen different agencies, his voice steady even though his hands shook every time he hung up with no news. He's going to kill her, Liam said quietly. He knows he's cornered. He's got nothing left to lose. He won't, Elena said, but she didn't sound convinced. Maya's the only leverage he has. If he hurts her, he loses everything. He's already lost everything. Then he'll try to trade her, bargain for safe passage out of the country. To where? Every border's locked down, every airport's watching. He can't move without being seen. Marcus's phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression went tight. We've got a hit. Traffic camera picked up the sedan near a warehouse in Red Hook. Abandoned building, no activity for months. Police are en route. Liam was already moving. I'm going. Boss, let the professionals... That's my daughter. I'm going. Elena grabbed her coat. I'm coming with you. No, you stay here where it's safe. Safe? Elena's laugh was bitter. Liam, nothing about this is safe, and I'm not letting you face him alone. He took Maya because of me. I have to be there. They argued for 30 seconds before Marcus interrupted. We're wasting time. Both of you come, but you stay in the car. I'm serious. Police will handle the entry. You're just there for after. They drove to Red Hook in Marcus's SUV, following police cruisers with lights off to avoid spooking Dimitri if he was watching. The warehouse loomed against the night sky, dark and decrepit, windows broken, graffiti covering the walls. A perfect place to hide someone. The police SWAT team assembled quickly and quietly. Marcus spoke with the commander, a hard-faced woman who looked like she'd seen too much. She pointed to their SUV. You stay here. We go in. We secure the location. We extract the child if she's inside. You do not enter until we give the all clear. Understood? Liam wanted to argue, wanted to storm in himself, but he forced himself to nod. These people were professionals. They'd trained for this. He was just a terrified father who'd lose his mind if he saw Maya in danger. The team moved in. Liam watched through the windshield, heart hammering so hard he could barely breathe. Elena's hand found his and held tight. She's going to be okay, she whispered. She has to be. Gunfire erupted from inside the warehouse. Liam was out of the car before Marcus could stop him, running toward the building, ignoring the shouts behind him. He hit the entrance as SWAT officers emerged dragging someone, a man, not Dimitri, face bloodied and cursing in a language Liam didn't recognize. Where's my daughter? Liam screamed. The man spat blood. Fuck you. Marcus caught up and pulled Liam back as more officers exited. The SWAT commander approached, removing her helmet. Building's clear, no sign of the girl, but we found evidence she was here. Children's clothing, food wrappers, a stuffed animal. The dragon. Maya's dragon. Liam's knees almost gave out. Where did they take her? We're questioning the suspect now. He's not talking. Let me talk to him. Mr. Ashford, that's not... I have 12 hours before Dimitri's deadline. 11 now. Let me try. The commander looked at Marcus, who shrugged helplessly. She sighed. 5 minutes. And if you touch him, I'll arrest you myself. They brought Liam to where the suspect sat cuffed in the back of a police van. Up close, he was young, maybe 25, with scared eyes that tried to look tough. Liam sat across from him and forced himself to stay calm. I know you're just hired help, he said quietly. Dimitri paid you to watch my daughter. You're not the monster here? He is. The man said nothing. But if my daughter dies because you won't talk, I will make sure you're charged as an accessory to murder. First-degree felony, life in prison, no parole. You'll never see daylight again. Still nothing. Liam leaned closer. Or you tell me where she is, you cooperate fully, and I personally ensure you get the best plea deal possible. Maybe you serve 5 years instead of 50. Maybe you get out while you're still young enough to have a life. The man's eyes flickered. He'll kill me if I talk. He'll kill you anyway. You think Dimitri leaves witnesses? The second you're no longer useful, you're dead. At least this way you survive. The man stared at his cuffed hands. Then, so quietly Liam almost missed it. There's a boat. Marina in Jersey City. Slip 47. He's planning to take the girl out to international waters, dump her, disappear. Liam's blood went ice cold. When? Midnight. 2 hours from now. Liam was running before the man finished talking. Marcus and the SWAT team scrambled to follow. The commander was already radioing ahead, coordinating with Jersey City Police and the Coast Guard. But it would take time to mobilize everyone, get boats in the water, set up a perimeter. Time they didn't have. The drive to Jersey City took 23 minutes with Marcus driving like he was trying to break the sound barrier. They arrived at the marina to find it dark and quiet, boats bobbing gently in their slips. Slip 47 held a mid-sized yacht, lights on in the cabin. Police were still 5 minutes out. "We wait," Marcus said firmly. "We wait for backup." But Liam was already moving, low and quiet, toward the yacht. He heard Marcus curse and follow. Elena's footsteps came behind them both. They reached the dock. The yacht sat there, engine idling, ready to depart. Through the cabin windows, Liam could see shadows moving. 2 people. One large, one small. Maya. Everything else disappeared. Liam climbed aboard, Elena and Marcus flanking him. The deck was slippery, the boat rocking gently. He reached the cabin door and tested it. Unlocked. He pushed it open. Dimitri stood in the center of the cabin, immaculate in a dark suit, holding Maya by the shoulder. She looked terrified but unhurt, still clutching her stuffed dragon. When she saw Liam, she screamed, "Dad!" Dimitri tightened his grip, pulling a gun from his jacket. "Stop! Right there!" Liam froze. Marcus had his own weapon drawn, but the angle was wrong. Too much risk of hitting Maya. Elena stood behind them, face white with horror. "Let her go," Liam said, voice surprisingly steady. "This is between us. She's just a child. She's leverage." Dimitri's accent was thicker now, stress bleeding through his polished facade. "The only thing keeping me alive. You've destroyed my career, my reputation, my future. The least you can do is give me safe passage out of this country. You know that's not going to happen. Then she dies with me. Is that what you want?" Maya was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. Liam met her eyes and tried to look calm, tried to tell her without words that everything would be okay. "Dimitri," Elena's voice cut through the tension. "Let Maya go and take me instead." Everyone turned to look at her. "What?" Liam said. Elena stepped forward, hands raised. "This started with me. I'm the one you framed, the one you destroyed. If you want revenge, take it on me, not an innocent child." Dimitri's laugh was ugly. "Touching. But you're worthless as a hostage. No one cares if you die." "I care," Elena said quietly. "And so does everyone who read that article. You kill me, you become a monster instead of just a thief. You lose whatever sympathy you might still have." "I have no sympathy." "Then you have nothing left to lose by letting the girl go." Dimitri's hand wavered slightly. Liam saw it, the crack in his composure, the desperation underneath. This wasn't a man with a plan. This was someone cornered and panicking. "Victor sent you a message," Liam said carefully. "Your former mentor. He knows everything now. Knows you framed Elena, stole from the company, destroyed his relationship with his daughter. You think he's going to let you disappear? He has connections you can't imagine. Resources that make mine look like pocket change. You run, he'll find you. You hide, he'll dig you out. The only chance you have is to surrender now, cooperate fully, and hope for leniency." "There is no leniency for what I've done." "Maybe not. But there's a difference between 20 years and life without parole, between dying in prison and maybe seeing freedom again when you're old. You're smart, Dimitri. You've always been smart. Don't throw your life away for nothing." Dimitri's gun hand was shaking now. Maya whimpered, and Liam's heart cracked. "Please," he said, and he didn't care that he was begging. "Please let her go. Take me instead. Take Elena. Take whatever you want. Just don't hurt my daughter." For a long moment, no one moved. The boat rocked gently. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Then Dimitri's shoulders slumped. "I wanted to build something," he said, voice hollow. "Something that was mine. Not Victor's, not the company's. Mine. But nothing was ever enough. There was always someone richer, more successful, more powerful. And Elena," he looked at her with something like hatred. "You had everything. Family, money, respect. You didn't even appreciate it." "I didn't have everything," Elena said. "I had a cage built from expectations and money and fear. And you made it worse. You took the one person I trusted and turned him into a weapon. You were so easy to fool." "Maybe. But at least I'm not the one standing here with a gun pointed at a child." Dimitri flinched. His grip on Maya loosened. Liam moved. It wasn't heroic or graceful. He just lunged forward, grabbed Maya, and pulled her away from Dmitri in one desperate motion. Marcus was right behind him, weapon trained on Dmitri's chest. "Drop the gun," Marcus said. "Now!" Dmitri looked in the gun in his hand like he'd forgotten it was there. Then he dropped it. It clattered on the deck. He sank into a chair and put his face in his hands. "It's over," he whispered. Police stormed the boat 30 seconds later, weapons drawn, shouting orders. They cuffed Dmitri and dragged him out while he went without resistance, like all the fight had left him. Liam held Maya tight, feeling her small body shake with sobs against his chest. "I've got you," he whispered. "You're safe. I've got you." Elena stood in the corner of the cabin, watching them with tears streaming down her face. When Liam looked at her, she mouthed, "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Not now. Not her fault. Later." The police wanted statements. Paramedics wanted to check Maya for injuries. The Coast Guard wanted to secure the vessel. Liam let them do their jobs while he held his daughter and tried to remember how to breathe. Marcus appeared at his elbow. "Media's outside. Cameras everywhere. You ready for that?" "No, but I don't have a choice." "You could go out the back. Avoid them entirely." Liam looked at Elena, who stood by the railing looking small and lost. Then he looked at Maya, who had finally stopped crying and was hiccuping against his shoulder. "No," he said. "We're not hiding. We're walking out the front, and we're telling the truth. All of it." They did. Liam carried Maya down the dock with Elena beside him, and Marcus clearing a path through the reporters. Cameras flashed. Questions flew. Microphones shoved toward his face. He ignored all of it until they reached a clear spot. Then he stopped and turned to face the press. "My daughter was kidnapped by Dmitri Koval as retaliation for exposing his crimes," he said, voice clear and steady. "She's safe now thanks to excellent police work and information provided by Elena Volkov, the woman Koval framed 2 years ago. Everything published in the Financial Times is true. Koval is a criminal, a fraud, and a kidnapper, and I will testify to that in any court that asks." "Mr. Ashford, are you romantically involved with Ms. Volkov?" someone shouted. Liam looked at Elena. She looked back, terrified and hopeful. He made a decision. "Yes," he said. "I am, and I don't care who knows it." The questions erupted again, but Liam was done. He turned and walked to Marcus's SUV, Elena and Maya following. They drove away from the chaos, toward home, toward safety. Maya fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted. Elena stared out the window, silent. Liam's hands finally stopped shaking. "Thank you," Elena said quietly. "For everything. For believing me, fighting for me, risking everything." "Stop," Liam interrupted. "You're not thanking me. We're past that." "What are we then?" Liam glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "I don't know, but we're going to figure it out." The next 72 hours were a whirlwind. Dmitri was charged with kidnapping, fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and about 15 other crimes. Gregor Petrov was arrested in Switzerland trying to board a plane to Singapore. Bank accounts were frozen across 3 continents. Viktor Volkov gave a tearful press conference apologizing to Elena and pledging full cooperation with investigators. The whistleblower from Volkov Capital came forward publicly. A compliance officer named Anna, who'd been documenting Dmitri's crimes for months but was too afraid to speak until the Financial Times article gave her cover. Her testimony filled in gaps the documentary evidence couldn't, providing context and timeline that made the prosecution's case airtight. Liam's company stock rebounded as the truth came out. The board issued a formal apology for doubting him. Investors who'd fled came crawling back. Within a week, his reputation was not only restored, but enhanced. The billionaire who'd risked everything to save an innocent woman and then his own daughter. The press loved it. Liam hated it. He didn't want to be a hero. He just wanted his life back. Wanted Maya to stop having nightmares. Wanted Elena to stop apologizing every time they spoke. Wanted normal, whatever that meant. Elena moved into the penthouse temporarily, too afraid to be alone and too traumatized to go back to her old life. She slept in the guest room and helped Maya with homework and cooked meals that were better than anything Liam's chef had ever made. Slowly, carefully, the 3 of them built something that felt like family. Viktor Volkov called every day, desperate to reconnect with his daughter. Elena spoke to him in halting, painful conversations that always ended with her crying. But she spoke to him. That was something. 2 weeks after Dimitri's arrest, Liam woke to find Elena standing in his bedroom doorway. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Never can anymore." She stepped inside, hesitant. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why did you tell the reporters you were involved with me? You could have denied it, made everything simpler." Liam sat up. "Because I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending I don't care about things. You asked me once why I was helping you, and I gave you half the truth. The whole truth is that somewhere between that first napkin note and now, I fell in love with you, and I'm too old and too tired to pretend otherwise." Elena stared at him. Then she crossed the room and kissed him, hard and desperate and real. "I love you too," she whispered against his mouth. "I didn't want to. It felt like a betrayal to drag you into my disaster, but I couldn't help it." "Good. Stop trying." They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other in the dark. Two broken people trying to build something whole. The trial was set for 6 months out. Prosecutors were confident. They had evidence, witnesses, audio recordings, a paper trail that Dimitri couldn't explain away. His lawyers tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the DA refused. This was too big, too public. They wanted a conviction. Liam and Elena were called to testify. So was Victor, who showed up looking 20 years older than his photos, grief and guilt carved into his face. He approached Elena before the hearing started. "Lisichka," he said, using a childhood nickname. "Little Fox, can you forgive me?" Elena looked at her father, this man who'd chosen a lie over his own daughter. Then she looked at Liam, who'd chosen truth over safety. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe someday, but not today." Victor nodded, accepting it. "I will wait, however long it takes." The trial lasted 3 weeks. Dimitri maintained his innocence, claiming he'd been framed by Elena and Liam in an elaborate conspiracy. His lawyers presented theories so convoluted they bordered on comedy. The jury wasn't buying it. They deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Dimitri showed no emotion as the verdict was read. Elena cried. Liam held her hand and thought about justice, how sometimes it actually worked. Sentencing came a month later. 45 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for 25. Gregor Petrov got 30. The compliance officer who'd helped them got immunity and a new job at a firm that actually valued ethics. It was over. Finally, completely over. Elena's name was cleared. Swiss prosecutors formally dropped all charges and issued a public apology. Her father's company offered her a position on the board, which she declined. She didn't want to go back to that life. She wanted to build something new. She and Liam started a foundation dedicated to helping victims of financial fraud. People who'd been destroyed by schemes and scams, left with nothing and no one to fight for them. Elena ran it with the same fierce intelligence she'd once used to navigate Swiss high society. Liam funded it and stepped back, letting her build something that was entirely hers. Maya adjusted slowly. The nightmares faded. She started therapy, which helped. She also started calling Elena by her first name instead of Dad's friend, which felt like progress. 6 months after the trial ended, Liam took Elena back to Aurelius, the restaurant where it had all started, with a napkin note and a warning. They sat at table 12, and Liam ordered wine he didn't remember tasting. "Why are we here?" Elena asked. "Because I need to ask you something." He pulled out a small box and set it on the table between them. Elena's eyes went wide. "Liam, I know it's fast. I know we've been through hell and maybe we should wait, but I've wasted enough of my life being careful and safe and emotionally dead. You brought me back to life, Elena, you and Maya, and I want to make this official." He opened the box. The ring inside wasn't ostentatious, a simple band with a single diamond, elegant and understated. "Marry me," he said, "not because we've been through a war together, not because the press expects it, but because I love you, and I want to build a future with you. A real one. Messy and imperfect and human." Elena was crying again, but this time she was smiling too. "Yes, yes, absolutely yes." Liam slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her while the whole restaurant pretended not to watch. When they finally pulled apart, Elena was laughing. We're a disaster, she said. I know. It's perfect. They stayed at the restaurant for hours, talking about the future, the foundation's expansion plans, Maya's upcoming school play, Victor's continued attempts at reconciliation, the house they were thinking of buying in Connecticut, something with land and space and room for Maya to run. Normal things. Beautiful things. The kind of things people who'd survived nightmares got to dream about. When they finally left, walking out into the Manhattan night with their hands linked, Liam felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the absence of problems. Not the illusion of control. Just the quiet certainty that whatever came next, they'd face it together. And that was enough. The engagement made headlines, which Liam had expected and Elena had dreaded. Every major outlet ran the story. Billionaire tech founder marries the woman he saved from a fraud conspiracy. It was too perfect, too cinematic. The press ate it up. Elena hated the attention. She'd spent 2 years learning to be invisible, and suddenly she was on magazine covers again. Not as Elena Volkov, disgraced heiress, as Elena Hart soon-to-be Ashford, survivor and philanthropist. The narrative had flipped, but the scrutiny felt the same. I can't do this, she said one morning, staring at a tabloid that had somehow obtained photos of her in her waitress uniform. The headline read, "From rags to riches, the waitress who won a billionaire's heart." You don't have to read that garbage, Liam said, taking the magazine and tossing it in the trash. Everyone else is reading it. Everyone's watching us, waiting for us to fail. Let them watch. We know the truth. But Elena's anxiety wasn't about the press. It was about something deeper, something she'd been avoiding for months. That night, after Maya went to bed, she finally told Liam what was really bothering her. I need to go back to Switzerland, she said quietly. I need to face my father. Really face him, not just these phone calls where we both cry and nothing gets resolved. Liam set down the contract he'd been reviewing. When? Soon, before the wedding. I can't marry you with this hanging over me. I can't start a new life when the old one is still broken. Do you want me to come with you? Elena looked at him, this man who'd fought beside her through hell, and felt her throat tighten. Would you? Elena, I'd follow you anywhere. You know that. They flew to Zurich 3 weeks later, leaving Maya with Mrs. Keller and enough security to guard a small country. The flight was long and tense. Elena barely spoke, staring out the window at clouds and ocean, her hands twisting the engagement ring round and round her finger. Victor had arranged for them to stay at the family estate, a sprawling compound outside the city that Elena hadn't seen in 2 years. When their car pulled through the gates, she felt like she was stepping back into a prison. The house looked the same. Manicured gardens, limestone facade, windows that reflected sky and nothing else. Cold, beautiful, empty. Victor met them at the door. He'd aged dramatically. Hair completely white now, face deeply lined, shoulders stooped under weight that wasn't physical. When he saw Elena, something broke in his expression. Lisichka, he whispered. Elena stood frozen. Liam's hand found hers and squeezed. Papa, she said finally. Victor stepped forward like he wanted to embrace her, then stopped, uncertain. Elena made the decision for both of them and closed the distance, letting her father pull her into a hug that felt desperate and fragile. I'm sorry, Victor said into her hair. I'm so sorry. I failed you. I believed lies over my own daughter. There are no words. Then don't use words, Elena said, pulling back. Show me. Help me understand what happened, why you believed him so easily. They sat in Victor's study, surrounded by books and leather and the smell of old cigar smoke. Liam stayed quiet, letting Elena take the lead. This was her conversation. Victor poured 3 glasses of scotch with shaking hands. After your mother died, I became obsessed with protecting what she'd built. The company, the family name, our legacy. I thought if I could make it strong enough, secure enough, nothing could hurt us again. Dmitri understood that. He told me what I wanted to hear, that he'd protect the company like it was his own, that he'd take care of you, marry you, ensure the Volkov name continued. I was so focused on legacy, I didn't see what was right in front of me. He played you, Elena said. He played all of us. But I should have known better. I should have trusted you. Why didn't you? Victor looked at her with eyes full of regret. Because the evidence was so perfect. Too perfect, I see now. But at the time, it was overwhelming. And Dmitri was there, looking heartbroken, acting like he'd tried to protect you. He cried, Elena. He cried and told me he'd loved you despite your crimes. And I believed him because it was easier than believing my daughter had become someone I didn't recognize. You thought I was capable of stealing millions? I thought... Victor stopped, struggling. I thought maybe you'd made mistakes, taken risks that went wrong. The pressure of being a Volkov, of living up to your mother's memory, of managing that inheritance, I thought perhaps it had broken you. And I was angry that you might have destroyed everything we'd built. So you chose the company over me. Yes, Victor's voice cracked. And I will regret that choice for the rest of my life. Elena drank her scotch in one burning swallow. Gregor knew. The whole time he was working with Dmitri. How did you not see it? Gregor was my oldest friend. We built Volkov Capital together. I trusted him completely. Victor's hands clenched. He used that trust to betray me, to betray you. And I was too blind to see it. He's in prison now, 45 years. Not long enough. They sat in heavy silence. Liam watched Elena process her father's words, watched the anger and grief and desperate need for understanding war across her face. Finally, she spoke. I spent 2 years hating you, she said quietly, hating you for not believing me, for choosing Dmitri over your own daughter, for making me feel like I didn't exist. I know. But I also spent 2 years understanding why you did it, because I would have done the same thing. If I'd been in your position, looking at that evidence, hearing those accusations, I would have believed it too. The lie was that good. Victor looked up, hope and devastation mixing in his expression. Does that mean, can you forgive me? I don't know, Elena said honestly. Maybe someday. But right now I'm still too angry, too hurt. You were supposed to protect me, and instead you threw me away. I know. But I also know you're trying. The phone calls, the help during the investigation. This, she gestured around the study. Letting me back into your life even though I hate you right now. That matters. What can I do? Tell me, and I'll do it. Elena thought for a long moment. I want Volkov Capital to fund my foundation. Not just a donation, full partnership. We help victims of financial fraud, people who've been destroyed by schemes like Dmitri's. We give them resources to fight back, to reclaim their lives. If you really want to make this right, help me build that. Victor nodded immediately. Done. Whatever you need. Money, connections, legal resources. It's yours. And I want you to testify at every trial that comes from this. Dmitri's appeals, Gregor's sentencing hearings, any civil cases. I want you to stand up in court and admit what happened, what you allowed to happen. I will. And I want you to stop trying to fix this with money. I don't need your wealth. I need... Elena's voice broke. I need my father, the one who used to read me bedtime stories and take me sailing and tell me I could be anything I wanted. Not this guilty stranger who keeps apologizing, just my father. Victor's composure finally shattered. He wept openly, shoulders shaking, and Elena let him. She didn't comfort him, didn't rush to make it easier, just sat there and let him feel the weight of what he'd done. Liam watched it all and understood something about forgiveness. It wasn't a switch you flipped or a decision you made once. It was a process, slow and painful and imperfect. Elena was starting that process, but it would take years to finish, maybe decades, maybe forever. That was okay. Some wounds didn't heal cleanly. They stayed in Switzerland for a week. Elena showed Liam the places she'd grown up, the schools she'd attended, the parks where she'd played, the cafe where she'd first met Dmitri and stupidly thought he was charming. She introduced him to old friends, most of whom were cautiously supportive and clearly relieved she'd been vindicated. A few avoided her entirely, too embarrassed by their earlier judgment to face her now. Elena let them go without a fight. She was learning to accept that some relationships couldn't be salvaged. Victor kept his word. He met with Elena's foundation lawyers and set up a partnership that would fund their work for the next 10 years. He attended meetings, offered contacts, used his influence to open doors that would have stayed closed. He was trying, genuinely trying, and Elena was trying to let him. The day before they left, Victor asked to speak with Liam privately. They walked through the gardens, past rose bushes Elena's mother had planted 20 years ago. "You love my daughter," Victor said. It wasn't a question. "Yes. And you'll protect her." "With my life," Victor nodded. "Good. Because if you hurt her, if you betray her trust the way I did, I will destroy you. Money, reputation, everything you've built. I don't care that you're a billionaire. I will end you." Liam smiled grimly. "Fair enough. But you should know, if I ever hurt Elena the way you did, I'd help you destroy me. She deserves better than broken promises." They looked at each other, two men who'd both failed the same woman in different ways, and came to an understanding. Not friendship, not quite trust, but mutual respect born from shared regret. "Take care of her," Victor said quietly. "Always." Flying back to New York felt like coming home. Maya was waiting at the penthouse, bouncing with barely contained excitement, Mrs. Keller looking exhausted behind her. "Did you bring me anything?" Maya demanded. "Chocolate," Elena said, pulling out a bag of Swiss truffles. "And a snow globe from the Alps." Maya tore into the chocolate immediately. Liam raised an eyebrow at Mrs. Keller, who shrugged. She was an angel. Barely any homework battles, only 2 minor meltdowns about missing you, and she only tried to adopt a stray cat once. "Progress," Liam muttered. That night, after Maya was asleep, Liam and Elena sat on the balcony overlooking Central Park. The city stretched out below them, lights and noise and endless possibility. "I'm glad we went," Elena said. "It didn't fix everything, but it was a start." "Your father loves you, in his broken way." "I know. That's what makes it so hard. If he didn't care, I could just hate him and move on. But he does care. He just failed spectacularly at showing it." "Welcome to being human." Elena leaned against him. "The foundation's going to be huge now. With Victor's funding and connections, we can help thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands." "That's what you wanted, right? To build something meaningful?" "Yeah, but it's also terrifying. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough to run something that big?" Liam kissed the top of her head. "Then you'll fail and learn and try again. That's how it works. But I don't think you're going to fail. You survived Dimitri, survived 2 years as a fugitive, survived getting your life back. Running a foundation is nothing compared to that. You make it sound easy. It won't be, but you're not doing it alone." The wedding planning began in earnest after that. Elena wanted something small and private, just family and close friends. Liam wanted whatever made her happy. Maya wanted to be a flower girl and wear a dress with so many sparkles people need sunglasses. They compromised. Small ceremony at a private estate in the Hamptons, maybe 50 guests, Maya in a sparkly dress that was just shy of ridiculous. No press, no photographers except one trusted friend who'd document it quietly. Just people they loved, celebrating something real. The foundation launched officially 2 months before the wedding. Elena gave a speech at the opening gala that had half the room in tears. She talked about losing everything, about being invisible, about the kindness of strangers and the courage it took to fight back. She talked about Dimitri without saying his name, about men who used intelligence as a weapon and trust as a trap. And she talked about second chances, about building something beautiful from rubble. Liam watched from the front row, holding Maya's hand, and felt proud in a way he'd never felt about his own achievements. This wasn't about money or stock prices or market dominance. This was about actual human lives being changed, people who'd been destroyed getting a chance to rebuild. After the speech, Elena was mobbed by survivors wanting to thank her, share their stories, ask for help. She listened to each one with patient attention, taking notes, promising follow-up, giving out her direct number without hesitation. Liam had to physically extract her 3 hours later when it became clear she'd stay all night if he didn't intervene. "They need so much," she said in the car ride home, exhausted and energized at once. "Housing, legal help, therapy, job training. We're going to need to expand faster than we planned." "Then we'll expand. Victor's funding is solid and I've got investors lined up who want to support this." "Why? What's in it for them?" "Tax write-offs, mostly, but also helping fraud victims is good PR. Makes them look ethical even if they're not." Elena made a face. "I hate that we need their cynical money." "So do I, but we're using it for good. so who cares about their motives? She leaned against him, and Liam wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Maya had fallen asleep in the front seat, mouth open, drooling slightly. His family, imperfect and complicated and absolutely worth every sacrifice. The weeks before the wedding blurred together. Dress fittings and menu tastings and seating arrangements that somehow became battles. Elena's few remaining friends from Switzerland flew in, awkward and apologetic. Victor arrived a week early, staying at a hotel because Elena wasn't ready for him to stay at the penthouse. He respected the boundary without complaint. Marcus served as Liam's best man, grumbling about having to wear a tuxedo but secretly pleased. Rebecca Grant was invited despite her journalist status because she'd helped save Maya and earned her place. Anna, the whistleblower, came too, finally free of Volkov Capital and starting a new career in compliance consulting. The morning of the wedding, Elena had a panic attack. Liam found her in his bathroom, hyperventilating, mascara running down her face. "I can't do this," she gasped. "What if I'm not ready? What if I'm still too broken? What if I ruin your life?" "Hey," Liam pulled her into his arms. "Breathe, just breathe." "I'm serious. You don't know what you're getting into. I'm a mess. I have nightmares. I don't trust people. I flinch when anyone raises their voice. You deserve someone whole." "I don't want someone whole. I want you." "That's insane." "Probably, but I'm doing it anyway." Liam pulled back to look at her. "Elena, I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I'm not perfect either. I still dream about Sarah sometimes and wake up feeling guilty. I work too much. I'm terrible at cooking. I let Maya get away with murder because I don't know how to discipline her without feeling like I'm failing as a father. We're both disasters. Great sales pitch for marriage. I'm not selling anything. I'm just being honest. This isn't going to be easy. We're going to fight. We're going to hurt each other accidentally. We're going to have days where we wonder what we were thinking. But we're also going to have days like yesterday when Maya told you she loved you and meant it. Days like last week when your foundation helped that woman in Boston get her stolen savings back. Days when we just exist together and it feels right. Those days are worth the hard ones." Elena wiped her eyes, smearing mascara worse. "You really believe that?" "I really do." "Okay." She took a shaky breath. "Okay, let's get married." That's the spirit. The ceremony happened at sunset, golden light flooding through the windows of the estate's conservatory. Elena wore a simple ivory dress that made her look like something from a dream. Maya preceded her down the aisle, tossing flower petals with aggressive enthusiasm and grinning at everyone. Victor walked Elena to the altar, tears streaming down his face, and when he placed her hand in Liam's, he whispered something in German that made Elena's breath hitch. The vows were brief and honest. No flowery language, no promises they couldn't keep, just commitment to try, to fight for each other, to build something real. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Liam pulled Elena close and kissed her thoroughly, not caring that 50 people were watching. She kissed him back, laughing against his mouth, and the room erupted in applause. The reception was exactly what Elena wanted. Good food, better wine, people she actually cared about instead of social climbers and business contacts. Maya gave a speech that was mostly jokes about Liam's cooking and Elena's tendency to cry at dog videos. Marcus told embarrassing stories from Liam's early startup days. Victor stood up and apologized publicly to Elena, voice breaking, asking for her continued patience while he learned to be a better father. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Late in the evening, Liam found Elena standing on the terrace, looking out at the ocean. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Tired?" he asked. "Exhausted, happy, terrified, all of it." "Second thoughts?" "About marrying you?" "No. About everything else, constantly." Liam laughed. "Same." They stood there in comfortable silence, listening to music drift from inside, feeling the ocean breeze and the weight of promises made. "I never thought I'd get here," Elena said quietly. 2 years ago, I was sleeping on a friend's couch with a fake name and $40 in my pocket. I thought my life was over, and now—" She gestured at the wedding, the people inside, the ring on her finger. "How did this happen?" "You wrote a note on a napkin and handed it to a stranger. That's all it took?" "Apparently." Elena turned in his arms to face him. "I love you. I don't say it enough, but I do." You gave me my life back. You gave me mine first." They kissed as the sun finished setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. Inside, someone turned up the music. Maya's laughter rang out, clear and bright. Victor was talking quietly with Marcus, two men finding unexpected common ground. Rebecca was taking notes, because she was always taking notes. The foundation's first clients had shown up unannounced with flowers and gratitude. It was messy and imperfect and absolutely right. The honeymoon was postponed because the foundation needed Elena and Liam's company was in the middle of a major acquisition. They didn't mind. Real life was calling, and they were ready for it. Maya adjusted to having Elena as a permanent fixture surprisingly well. She started calling her Elena Mom, which made Elena cry the first time she heard it. They developed routines. Weekend pancake breakfasts, Thursday movie nights, homework battles that Elena won more often than Liam ever had. Maya's nightmares about the kidnapping faded slowly, helped by therapy and time and the security of knowing she was loved. Victor visited monthly, slowly rebuilding his relationship with Elena. It was awkward and sometimes painful, but they were trying. He spoiled Maya shamelessly, which Liam pretended to disapprove of while secretly appreciating the breaks. Father and daughter were learning to talk again, really talk, about things that mattered. Trust was growing in microscopic increments. The foundation exploded in size. Within a year, they'd helped over 3,000 fraud victims recover stolen assets, provided legal support for dozens of criminal prosecutions, and lobbied successfully for stronger financial protection laws. Elena was offered speaking engagements at conferences, universities, even the United Nations. She accepted some and declined others, learning to balance ambition with sustainability. Dimitri's appeals were all rejected. He'd serve his full sentence in a federal facility designed for white-collar criminals, which meant it was marginally less horrifying than maximum security, but still prison. Elena refused to visit him, refused to engage with his letters claiming remorse. Some bridges you burned and never rebuilt. Gregor Petrov died in prison 18 months after sentencing. Heart attack, sudden and final. Victor attended the funeral out of obligation to their shared past. Elena didn't. She'd moved on. 3 years after the wedding, Elena and Liam bought the house in Connecticut they'd dreamed about. 20 acres, room for Maya to run, space for Elena's home office, and Liam's ridiculous car collection. They spent weekends there, away from the city's chaos, just being a family. Maya was 13 now, all attitude and contradictions, testing boundaries the way teenagers did. She fought with Elena about curfews and argued with Liam about screen time and rolled her eyes at both of them constantly. She was perfect. One Sunday afternoon, Liam found Elena in her office, staring at her computer with an odd expression. "What's wrong?" he asked. Katya reached out. "My friend from Switzerland, the one who helped me disappear. She found me through the foundation website." Liam went still. "What does she want?" "To talk. She's in trouble. Someone's framing her for embezzlement using the same playbook Dimitri used on me." They looked at each other, and Liam saw the decision forming in Elena's eyes. "We help her," he said. It wasn't a question. "It'll be complicated, expensive, dangerous." "I don't care." Elena smiled, and it was the smile he'd fallen in love with, fierce and determined and absolutely unstoppable. "Then we help her." Because that's what they did now. They helped people who'd been destroyed by lies and greed and betrayal. They fought for those who couldn't fight for themselves. They used their resources and experience and stubborn refusal to accept injustice to make things right. It wasn't always successful. Some cases they lost. Some people they couldn't save. But they tried anyway, because trying mattered. 5 years after the wedding, they returned to Aurelius, the restaurant where it had all started. They sat at table 12, exactly where Liam had been sitting when Elena slipped him that napkin note. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't warned me?" Liam asked. Elena considered it. "You would have been secretly filmed. The deal might have fallen through. You'd have survived. You always survive." "Maybe, but I wouldn't have you." "You don't know that. Maybe we would have met some other way." "I don't believe in fate." "Neither do I. But I believe in choices. You chose to investigate who I was. I chose to trust you. We chose each other, over and over, even when it was hard." Liam reached across the table and took her hand, thumb brushing over her wedding ring. "Best choice I ever made. Even with all the chaos?" "Especially with the chaos." A young waitress approached their table, nervous and probably new. Elena smiled at her kindly, remembering what it felt like to be terrified and invisible. The waitress took their order and disappeared. Think she's secretly an heiress on the run? Liam asked. Probably not, but you never know. People are full of surprises. They ordered wine and appetizers and talked about normal things. Maya's upcoming school play where she'd landed the lead role. Victor's latest attempt to cook dinner for them, which had ended in minor kitchen fire and takeout. The Foundation's expansion into Asia, Liam's company's new AI initiative, the vacation they were planning to Greece, ordinary life, built from extraordinary rubble. When dinner ended, they walked out into the Manhattan night, hand in hand, and Liam thought about how far they'd come. From that first napkin note to this, marriage, family, purpose. It hadn't been smooth, it hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. Every single moment. Ready to go home? Elena asked. Liam looked at her. This woman who'd survived hell and come out stronger, who fought for strangers and loved his daughter and made him believe in second chances. Yeah, he said. Let's go home. They walked toward their car, toward their life, toward whatever came next. Together. Always together. And somewhere in a federal prison, Dmitry Koval sat in a cell and regretted everything. But that was his story, and it didn't matter anymore. This was theirs, and it was just beginning.